offended you, or I'm sorry that you didn't understand.
Yeah. It said I was. The thing is, actually, I'd say, Necro, that there was a certain advantage in me having to slow down and repeat questions and stuff, because if I had got you,
to them, like
because
so,
I couldn't get you to like make a mistake because you just genuinely didn't understand what I meant necessarily, because I used a bunch of fancy words and went really fast.
Yeah.
And normally I might be able to pen you here or there because you'll fall into one of the many well-hidden pitfalls. I've got every question's laden with things like, don't go down that path, don't go down that path,
Well, you're kind of debating though, but I feel like two INTPs, they wouldn't debate as much. They would try and build their understanding at the same time as they're talking about it.
You need to get like 3 INTPs in here and just have them alternate to build ideas while one debates.
You can do that as well. You definitely.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I do have a pretty well-built metaphysics of my own, and it does run counter to Necro, so it was a natural debate. Like, I'm not a determinist at all. I think that emergent phenomena are...
Well, I'm not either. I'm not a radical determinism. Even though I worked in 5 years in a theory that requires radical determinism, I'm actually not. I'm an indeterminism. I defend indeterminism.
Oh, so you just like the metaphysics. All right, cool. That's great. I mean, the thing is, I argue metaphysics I don't ascribe to sometimes too. So that's an NTP thing for sure. All right, what are we talking about in this upcoming exciting adventure called learning? JC, you got any topics for us? Do you want to talk about dolphins? I hear you're into dolphins. Is it true? JC's not paying attention, I don't think. She's knitting right now. JC, are you knitting?
What?
Is that a jab at ESFPs?
No, I'm just thinking...
The ESFP just got wrecked.
Anytime people are not on the mic, I think that they are doing something, right? Like, kind of on in the background. They're playing games.
She's a poor ESFP, didn't even take part in the debate, and Eric just out of anger just swats her aside.
I didn't. I was just asking her what she's up to. You knitting?
I bet she's knitting, smack.
That's not a smack. I like to knit. If I knew how to knit, I'm sure I would anyway. I don't actually like to knit, but I bet I would if I knew how to do it. I do like to doodle. That's the same thing as knitting. Keeping your hands
Likely
busy.
tail.
What's that?
Likely tail.
Yeah, I do like to doodle. So
I have an interesting topic.
Yeah, give me a topic.
What are the best parents in the MBTI thing? What are the best parents to make
ESFJ and ISFJ.
To make a successful child? ESF.
To make a successful child? I think it depends on the type of kid too. I think it depends on the type of kid.
Then yeah, let's talk about the various type of kids and the various type of parents. Well, like for example, let's start like this. INTP child. What are the best parents to raise that child into the INTP being successful? Like this, do you understand the question?
Best parents for INTP would be this.
Yeah.
They would be ESFJ and ISTJ.
Okay, now why?
Because ESFJ is the mom, ideally. That's the dual. Okay, that's your dual type. So you'll have the person in your life as your mother who can most appreciate you, basically. Who's designed to appreciate you most. And so you'll be very well nurtured by that mother and feel like your nature is validated. Because your mother parent is your dual. Father parent is your benefactor, which means they're going to help you with all your weak stuff and help you to become successful and just help you all the time. That's a good dad figure to have. So that would be perfect for INTP, I think. I think that's the pattern you want. This is based on the fact that I had that as parents. I was really happy with my parents. So That's based on nothing other than my own personal bias. But that's my theory based on my own personal bias, that your dual and your benefactor are your best two types to have as your parents.
So that responds everything, right?
Well,
because you can apply the dual and benefactor too.
Yeah, you gotta figure out what those things are. Like, for an INFJ like Ken, if he had his ideal parents, they would be what the fuck? I should go see what's going
on. On this episode, Eric gets mauled to death by a pack of raccoons.
There's some sort of
Eric gets swatted.
There's Eric gets swatted. Does not sound fun at all. But yeah, INFJ would be, let's see.
We can discount the ISFJ ESFJ combo.
It would be ESTP.
That's a bit of a joke.
ESTP would be your dual. So that would be your mother, would be an ESTP. Your benefactor would be ISFP. I think.
That'd be an interesting combo.
An ISFP and ESTP marriage. My parents are still together. They're ISFJ and ESTJ, and they're not really necessarily the greatest, most natural pairing of peoples, I don't think, but they work fine because they're both very practical-minded people. You know. But as an ENTP parent, I gotta say, I think an ENTP is a great parent for an ENTP as well. I think I did a good job of parenting my child. She seems to feel so as well. It's like I never busted her chops about anything. I understood. I just got it. It's like I'm not gonna bother with any try to like. Well, let's have a punishment set up or some sort of scheme to make her behave or change her ways. Candace was always trying that shit. Like constantly telling her, I was like, Candace, it's not going to work.
An ENTP father be good for an INTP? So if he were to go down the path of being an intellectual, because he's bringing up all these ideas and things.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree too. Especially if you had a intellectually rigorous ENTP as the parent, because I think INTPs are much more able in general to draw knowledge from others for the duration of time that they want to draw knowledge from it, and then move on to another source of knowledge, right? ENTPs take a while to learn that they need to learn things from people.
How would a INTJ mom be? And what's the best son for an INTJ mom?
The best son for an INTJ mom would be an ESFP son.
Okay, and what would be the best son for INTJ mom and INTJ mom and INTP dad? Because now you don't have the perfect.
You don't have it perfect. Okay, INTP dad. So an INTP dad, I think, would do well with. Well, the dual. Let's see. The benefactor would be. I think it would be like. Well, okay, INTJ and INTP, that's a really introverted pair of parents. I mean, I would suggest in that instance, you want to have an introverted kid, probably, because otherwise it's going to be like, why aren't either of you guys talking to me? I would say you do well with something like, I mean, you'd come out with a pretty powerful INFJ kid, I think, if you had an INFJ, because they have all the potential to be intellectual powerhouses, but only certain environments produce that with INFJs. Other environments produce the appearance of intellect, but not really a lot of depth to it. and it depends on the environment that raises them. I think that environment would raise a fucking super powerful INFJ.
Can I ask a question? What's the logic? It appears as if you're using some form of equation with the I can't remember what the terminology
Socionics,
was,
the dual and the benefactor. Yeah, those are socionics relationships.
Okay, what's the logic behind that? Why is that basically?
Okay, so the dual. Go ahead.
On the chats, there's a link for that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but
J-Matt's finding one.
Necro, if you want to explain it, go for it.
No, I have no idea.
Okay.
There's a link.
The dual is the same four conscious functions, but in like reverse order. So my dual, since I go NE, TI, FE, SI, my dual goes SI, FE, TI, NE, and that way my one provides all the support that she needs in possibilities, and her one SI provides all the support I need in SI, and then our middle functions complement each other. So we both understand how we make judgments just fine because we both have FE and TI, but she prioritizes FE a little bit more, I prioritize TI a little bit more. The ideal thing is we balance each other out and it's perfect, right? That's the ideal behind the dual. It's your same four functions, but opposite.
There's limitations, isn't there? You are losing some things, because if you had the same leading function...
No, you don't. You don't. You have the opposite one.
No, I know, but if you did, what I'm saying is, like, it's not optimal, is it? It'd be good to have a person that has them all, if you can understand that. So, like, how do you outweigh that to having someone who has the same leading function as you? Couldn't you have them? Is it the idea that you don't need them to develop? You don't need help with that, basically.
Well, it's also, it's like when I talk with other ENTPs, with possibly the exception of Taylor, will come around for a little while and typically won't stick around for a long time, and it's because we get each other so clearly. There's not a lot to be taken from it. It's an identical relationship, so we don't need somebody else to provide any of that in our life. Now, what I really need someone to provide in my life, and it comes out of my songs and stuff, where I talk about wanting a woman to come in and take care of me, basically. So that means I want an SI dom. I had somebody close in Canada. She was an ESFJ. But she led with FE, and it caused some conflict because we're both extroverted, and we both had different visions of how we present to the world. So that caused some conflict, you know. ISFJ is fundamentally going to be about, well, let's go home, honey. And a lot of times it's exactly what ENTP needs to hear, you know. Let's go home, honey. And with somebody that you trust, you know, like somebody that you trust that they get why possibilities are important, but they're just not good at it themselves. And it seems like a nice balancing thing to me. I'll tell you the other type that ENTP, if I were going to get with marry somebody who wasn't an ISFJ, I'm planning on getting in one more relationship in my life and it being the correct one. But if I weren't going to marry an ISFJ, I could see myself with an INFJ as well. And the reason is just because I get along with them super well. I don't know. I just get along with them super well consistently. You think that's a bad idea? The shitty SI? Yeah, I know that'll be a messy house.
I could see the INFJ being a good sort of talking buddy to bounce certain ideas off of, but if you were looking for someone to take care of you, I don't know. I don't know if the INFJ is going to be handling all that extra stuff.
Right. Well, maybe the INFJ is rich and we can hire a housekeeper.
Can you substitute? Couldn't you find a way around having insufficient SI by kind of operationalizing and optimizing your environment so that you don't really have to think about it too much, kind of thing?
Right.
You have to become a lot TE, kind of.
Yeah, well, I try. I try to like automatic bill pay and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Like you can get. Well, I see that like SI is kind of like its use is going down. the reason I see SI is something really important for society, though, is because there are jobs that need doing that other people don't want to do. That's the way I see it, anyway. Like I wouldn't want to do the same operation over and over again. But
we are blessed NTPs in that, or especially ENTPs, in that the thing where we really need help, SI, is an area where technology is providing lots of helpful solutions.
Yeah,
and that's not necessarily the case for other, like, technology is not really providing useful solutions for my FI in the 7th slot, right? Is that I mean, it does, I guess, in the sense of, like, Adderall is kind of a solution for that. It kind of squashes my emotions a little bit.
Well, also as well, society's kind of changed because the type of things as we do for work now are becoming much more intellectual and theoretical. And they're not about, because if you lived 500 years ago, you would have to do an awful lot of SI type activities, regardless, unless you had a tribe. Unless you had a tribe in which, the roles were substituted, you'd still do an awful lot of SI and struggle with that.
You have your several goats.
Technology.
You have to attend to your several goats.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many people here have goats right now? How many people have goats?
What's a goat?
A goat? What's a goat? It's like a sheep, but
The animal? Oh, you have goats? What?
no, I don't have any goats.
Oh, okay.
Do we have any goat herds in attendance? I'm always interested in interviewing a goat herd if we have any.
I don't have any goats, but I want a goat, and I also kind of want to be a goat. You know what I'm saying?
Well, my friends actually had a goat named Tofu. It was pretty cool, but they had it when our kids were little, when they were like 3 or 4 years old. They kept running into them and knocking them over. It was like the goat thought that was great fun, knocking the children over. So if you have small children, hold off getting a goat.
Goats are like a harder, more aggressive version of the whimsy. You know what I'm saying? They're just very... There's that sort of mythical air about them, and then it gets crushed the second they start eating your sweater or, run into one of your kids.
Well, the other thing about goats is they're useful if you have small children who are too upright, who need to learn to be knocked over more. Then you want to get some goats. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on goats or other related topics to this? I don't remember what the topic was here.
Are you parodying yourself?
Parents. The topic was parents.
Oh yeah, parenting. Right, parenting. So
I think everyone should pick their spirit animal. I think maybe that's in order.
I have a question.
Hold on. Go ahead with your question.
What MBI type is most like a goat?
Those are two compelling questions.
Yes.
First, I got to think about my spirit animal. But we can do our spirit animals in the next video. Let me answer that second question in this one. The goats. So wait, what MBTI type is most like a goat?
ESFP?
ISTJ? It's got to be introvert sensing.
Yeah, ISTJ is like a buffalo or like a bull or something.
Hey, goat.
Yeah, just doing the same thing over and over again. It's got to be SI, isn't it?
I think a goat ISFP. It's just sort of like
SFP.
it's like, oh hey, I could totally eat that.
I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's SFP.
Thanks for watching, Talking Spanish, people.